Every weekend, I look forward to getting out there. It's a freedom like no other. It's part of who I am. If you ride, you know what I mean. That's why I insure with Shannon's. They get it. They share our passion and give us the features riders want, like limited use cover and multi-vehicle discounts. Shannon's insure all types of road bikes, not just classics. Whatever you ride, ride with Shannon's.
Call 134646 for a quote.
Rare Spares has over 50,000 product lines and releases over 500 new products every year. Your local Rare Spares distributor has what you need when you need it. And as the only restoration company officially backed by Holden and Ford, we take our part in your project very seriously. Rare Spares, more than just a part in your project.
Out of the way.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round number 2 of the Warren and Brown Tools IMSA Shadow Series here on SRWtv. I'm your commentator here tonight, Hamish Munro. Alongside me this week is Peter Gretton. Jack Oz has now swapped over to a bi-weekly system where Peter will join me one week, Jack Oz will join me in the next. Peter, Watkins Glen, sports car racing, it's almost like a match made in heaven, isn't it?
You summed it up, mate. You took the words right out of my mouth. Good evening to you. Good evening to all the viewers. It is a match made in heaven. You got multi-class racing. It's the BPO's awesome, and well, the drivers are even better. Watkins Glen GT3s, and alike. Well, exciting.
I mean, I think back to, you know, even real life IMSA racing around here, or when some of my former teammates have been involved in the iRacing official Watkins Glen 6 hour. It is I mean, you know, it has the characteristics of so many different circuits. We've been here a couple of times on SRWtv, and normally what always comes up is this was originally a street circuit that's then been made into a permanent race structure. So it has the qualities of a regular racing circuit with the qualities of a street circuit mixed into it. So, you know, it can really cause a lot of divisiveness between fans on if they like Watkins Glen or if they dislike it, if they like it with the boot or if they don't. But I think all of the portions of this cocktail that we'll be sipping on tonight here for some multi-class action around this track, I think, you know, you think about the bus stop and what can happen through there, the changing of traffic with the GT3s ahead of the GTPs when they're coming around to lap them, and then the struggling through the boot section. I think we're going to see some really, really good on-track action this week, Pete. I mean, last week we unfortunately missed the safety car during the technical difficulties, but I think this week we might see a couple.
Oh, a couple, yeah, definitely here. And just to cross back to your point of other people, it's sort of been divisive about it, whether they like it or not. We'll just talking with one of the competitors, Chop. We won't name him, Christopher Tomlin, that he didn't like it with the boot. He didn't like that aspect of the track. And I think I sheepishly said to him, well, you know, the people that can drive, they can drive the boot all right, and the people that not so much, they like the cup, but I like the cup, and you also said that you like the full version, so that's going to be interesting. And the tie wear and all that kind of stuff and strategy, that's what we love about multi-class racing, and the race is going to be 45 minutes. So what do you reckon? One stop, I do believe.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you on that one. I think one stop tonight. It's going to be interesting when the stops happen, whether people are going to jump in on a safety car if we get one, or if they're just going to stick to the strategy. May see a couple of GT3s roll the dice. I mean, we got I think it's about 25 cars out there. I don't know if the GTPs will roll the dice, though, or if they're as likely to roll the dice just because of how tightly contested that field is between those drivers. You know, I think there's a little bit more of a skill spread in the GT3 drivers. So I think we may see, you know, pit stop strategies maybe even get thrown out the window if we get too many safety cars in this race. But I think it's going to be a really, really good night of racing regardless of that. I think some of our danger zones, Pete, that we need to think about in tonight's race, obviously the bus stop is a big one, especially also turn 2, 3 and 4, the uphill section. There have been some incredible crashes on that uphill before and into the bus stop. But one that I always remember is the bump off sort of the end of the boot. You know, on that left-hander, there's the bump in the middle of the apex. I think we could see a couple of cars go into the wall off that. We've seen it in the F3s. I think we've even seen it in the supercars around here. I think those are going to be the main spots that we're going to see some accidents happen if there are any.
100%, and it's going to be early on in their stints as well. It's going to be earlier on in the race start. It's going to be early on after any safety car period, and we're going to keep on to it as well. On them points and bus stop, especially, we're going to keep on to, because when you get in the moment, don't you, mate? When you're going down that straight and you know where your brake point is, but when you're that far up, someone's behind. When you're in the draft, you've probably got about 10 or 15 kilometres extra than what you normally do. And you should be braking a little bit earlier to adjust. But when you're in the moment, you don't. So that's what causes, well, one cause of the issues down at the bus stop. But that's just one of many. But it's going to be great. We're going to see lots of interesting calls. But I think 1 or 2 safety cars blows anyone's strategies out of the water, being it not so much a fuel run.
Yeah, mate. So just getting into our qualifying, so we've had about 10 minutes of running for the GT3s at the moment. They've got 5 minutes left to get their lap times in. Current order as it stands, Patrick Frame starting at a provisional pole for the GT3s with a time of 1 minute 44.27. He's about 3 tenths ahead of his Ferrari cohort, Alexander Ganotis, out of P2. Then we have Aaron Schroeder, P3 at the moment. Harry Dodds, the only Merc out on track at the moment, out of P4. Nathan Gardner currently in P5. Brendan O'Loughlin in P6. Sean Benici, the only American, out on track, out of P7. Tyler Sheaf out of P8 at the moment. Marty Mitchell out of P9. Chris Tomlin out of P10. And then Greg Barber yet to set a lap time in this qualifying session. Out on track. Greg here. But interestingly enough, round 1 winner Adam Hughes not here for round 2.
Yeah, well, that's going to bite him a bit. Is that a little bit too overconfident coming into round 2? Can he drop? Can he afford to drop it? based on his speed, what was it, 7.5 seconds or 8.5 seconds, I think he got out to in one of them races last rounds. Maybe he can afford to drop around, but that tightens it up for that midfield. You see the midfield really competitive because, wow, the fast guy's not there.
Well, I mean, his teammate Greg Barber, I mean, he was really the only challenger to Adam when we had the GT3 series running a few seasons ago. I think he could be the one to kind of take that mantle of the top spot of the podium, if I can get the words out of my mouth. He's managed to do a 44.73, so he's not actually too far off the pole time. That was only after 7 laps in this qualifying, and it was the first one he's actually going to set a lap time for. So he's going to be able to have one more run if he can get this car around. There's about 3 minutes left. He has gone back into pits, but he's really only going to be able to have one more crack at getting to that pole lap time.
Well, he was only a quick stop for him. Throw new rubber on and take whatever fuel out that he didn't need. So he's going to have a crack, and I think you're dead right. He's going to be the challenger to watch. But Jake Edwards, don't write him off either. He had a few good battles. Blake Delaney and the young fella Ty, he's in there, and plenty of names to go through. Troy Maguire, he's going to be one to watch as well. So there's a handful of names that can do it, and Watkins Glen can throw up a curveball at any moment, so we'll have to wait and see. If the race gets a little bit boring, you never know. It's like Melbourne's weather, mate, I think, this track.
Yeah, I mean, it is, as I mentioned, it's almost like a dice roll a little bit with what we can see achieved by some of these drivers. I mean, you mentioned some of those GTP drivers, Troy Maguire, both of the Delaney boys. I mean, Ty very unlucky last week to not get a podium, but still managed the top 5. Actually, I just realized as well, no Simon Mazzomo this week after finishing on the podium last time out. So, you know, I think it's going to be interesting to see which of those GTP boys are actually really going to push to do well in their 15 minutes of qualifying once the GT3s are done here in a minute and a half's time.
It'll be interesting, and it's quite surprising, isn't it, when we go from class to class qualifying like this, that you look at them now and they're flying. Well, it looks to me that they're flying, they're going quick, and then we swap over classes to the cars that are quicker again, and you're just like, whoa, okay. And you get a new look at it at the racetrack. But these guys that are out in force now, I think Frame's got this one wrapped up, I think, with his time.
Yeah, I don't know if I can see Greg beating it on a one-lap pace, but the one thing that we do know is that Barbs has got, you know, race pace. He's not just a one-lap wonder. He can get it done over the course of a 45-minute to an hour-long race. I mean, you mentioned the speed discrepancy. I mentioned it last week out at Road Atlanta, just seeing how much quicker those GTP cars are over the GT3s. But how good is it, Peter, that we now have 4 different GTP types of cars out there in the Acura, in the Cadillac, in the Beamer, and in the Porsche as well?
Oh, that's just awesome. It just throws that other dice in. It's almost 4 dice for the race. But I love the Cadillac's edition because based on, I can't drive it for anything, but the sound itself. I love the note of the Cadillac, but the extra cars add into each class, that just adds another aspect to it. And, well, I think iRacing's got the balance of power pretty much smack on, and you do see them adjust it for the endurance races, but look out for them official endurance races that are going to go on next year, because the heat's going to turn up a bit, and, well, these league races are taste up for that. But awesome to have more cars. That's all we want in multi-class races, especially here at Watkins.
Well, I think it's going to be great to see the Daytona 24-hour come round next January. You're going to be able to have 12 different types of cars on track, and depending on what we get for season 1 next year, you know, whether we get another GT3 car to replace maybe the Ford or the McLaren, well, we could be seeing, you know, and that car that comes in if we get another GT3 car, well, that might be the meta coming into Daytona, because it'll have a bit of a buff being a brand new car. We know that iRacing likes to put a bit of a buff on their new cars when they come in. Look at the Acura. That is the car of choice in this series at the moment, being that there are, I believe, there's 7 out in the session at the moment, majority of them being fishy boys.
Well, they're all over it, aren't they? It's about testing the car and what's better and getting the feel to it. And what has a spinner there already. What I like about multi-class races and stuff like that is the different classes take different types of drivers. And even in one car, like especially the fishy boys, you pointed them out. When you go to the endurance races, when you got six, when you got a team of six, you need 6 drivers that can drive one car, and that's a challenge, finding 6 drivers in the one team that have a similar driving styles. I think that's more of a challenge than doing the 24-hour, but with the extra cars in it, you're dead right. It's going to add that extra element as we see the pit lane open for these faster guys to come out and show us a new way to do Watkins.
Well, the winner from last time out, Troy Maguire, Fishy Motorsports entry number 63. He has just started his first lap here in qualifying. Be interesting to see what he can do in this session. Doug Gowans, though, has gone fastest in the first sector, even faster than what Troy Maguire did. But even Doug's now been picked again, so we've got Jake Edwards on 2 different sectors. Gowans on 2 different sectors already. Maguire coming up to the end of the second sector, as we can see here. His teammate Blake Delaney not too far behind as he pulls up, as it appears. His lap may be over and done with before it even got started.
Got to be careful, don't you? Because you don't want to burn the tyres, or you don't want to mark the tyres. You just want to get one good run. And I'm not too familiar with these type of cars exactly, but I'm presuming you want a calm lap out. Don't mark the tyres and have a good crack. But well, I think he just pulled out of it, or he's going to have another crack. But he's got to be careful.
Well, he looks like, he's running on the grass, so maybe he's overheated those right-hand side tyres, so maybe just trying to cool them down a little bit here towards the end of what is actually now another outlap. He will be going for some fast-paced driving after this, as we already have the first GTP across the line. Doug Gowans with a time of 1 minute 31.10, so and then he's been pipped again by 2 of the Fishy Boys, Ty and Blake Delaney, father and son combo, both getting into the 28s, as well as Michael Whiting, a 28.6 in P3. So Fishy looking for yet another strong performance this week. Wayne Edwards comes across P5, 1 minute 32.58. So, you can just see the speed discrepancy already, Peter. At the lowest point, they are 12 seconds ahead of the fastest GT3 driver in qualifying. At the top point, an extra 4 seconds ahead.
That's going to all play out, rather, is what I was trying to say at the later end of the race, when these guys, they're going to be in battles right to the end, and they're going to be right in the thick of it with other class cars. So that's what we got to watch, the speed disparity. And I'll go back to the Fishy Boys you're just talking about. Ty Delaney's pipped his old boy, so can you imagine the sim room chat at the moment between them two? I reckon it's competitive.
Well, I know that talking to Blake last week after he got on the podium, Ty was a little bit upset that he was unable to get onto the podium. But then I was told in a private message that his spirits were lifted when he did give him the driver of the day, being Ty. But I think maybe he's got a bit of a fire under him now to improve from last week, and maybe seeing what he can do at such a young age, being in the Pro-Am series for so long. And this kid, he's only 14, and he is just pumping out quick lap times, becoming a real kind of almost like a cult hero in SRW a little bit, being that he is so young and he is so quick, and he's only going to get quicker and quicker the older he gets.
And his racecraft as well is what impresses me the most as well. He's quick, but he's courteous as well, and that's just probably one of the core values of the Fishy Boys, is the times that keep coming in. And well, the Fishy boss goes, all right, Dad, son, move over. Boss man's in with a 128.0, so almost in the 27s. I reckon we'll see a 27 possibly in this session.
Yeah, I think we definitely could, if they can get those sectors to absolute perfection. May need a tow to get in there, but those Fishy Boys will likely help each other out to get into the 27s if they're struggling to do it. But being that Michael is already so close to a 27 happening, it may not be too long till we see it, with only 9 minutes to go in the session. So I think if we're gonna get a 27, it's probably going to be someone, probably one of the Fishy Boys that are going to get it, because they are the faster cars out there at the moment, at least. But a couple of different challenges bringing it to them. I mean, Jake Edwards out in a Corvette, Cadillac at the moment. Brendan Grotch as well out in the Caddy, and then we've got Jack Michelson for Velocity Racing Team out of the BMW, and then Doug Gowans as well out of the Acura. So there are some drivers mixing it with these fishy boys, and they are hoping really just to kind of stay clean, stay consistent, because that is the key to multi-class racing, Pete, is staying consistent and staying clean. If you can stay out of trouble, you actually find yourself up the pointy end of town come checkered flag flying.
Multi-class racing, that exercises the number one rule, doesn't it? To finish first you must finish, and especially in these multi-class races at tracks like this, well, they've got to race smart as well as quick to get by. They're always going to come up into lap traffic, these drivers. Always going to come up. Every race they do, they're going to come up. It's just the nature of the beast. They need to learn how to execute passes without slowing down, and that's what we're going to see here tonight. Maybe not first up, but they learn pretty quickly, don't they? But that's, you got to do it. You got to pull your head in, and you got to know when to make them passes right. And in this series, clean racing, sportsmanship, you're going to see it. You'll see the slower guys. They'll know. They'll communicate, and communication's key when you've got the speed difference in these classes.
Well, I think it also needs to come down to the GT3 drivers. And remember, it's always put in your head when you're training for a multi-class endurance race as a GT driver, just stay predictable. If you're able to stay predictable, it makes it easier for the higher class cars to pass you, because they know if you're going to stick to your line, they can go around the outside at a fast corner, or they can wait until the straight and get you on the straight. So there's no point panicking and thinking, oh, I need to get out of their way, I better move over, because they may already be going for the pass down the inside, expecting you to stick to your line and stay out wide. So it's just better just to stay predictable, and that's how you're going to kind of stop some accidents from happening throughout these races, I think. And I think Watkins is a good test for that as well.
Yeah, 100%. And a couple of them fast corners and a couple of them slow corners. Watch for the faster class to get around. But you're dead right. I have attempted a few multi-class races like this, failed every time, but I was surprised as you're driving around, you're looking at your relative, you think you're doing everything right, and then all of a sudden, holy, where did he come from? You're looking at your relative for 2 seconds, and all of a sudden you just get swarmed. So sometimes that's a little bit better if you're just racing your race and you don't even know they're there, because, well, your underlying predictability, if you don't know they're there, sometimes that's good.
Yeah, that's true. Brendan Grotch, though, could be on here for a 127. He's had 2 purple sectors in the middle of the lap. He has gone. He's done a 127.57, so pipping Michael Whiting by half a second there on the current provisional pole lap.
See what a lap that was. And let's see if he can stick it as well. 127. We said we spoke about it. Were we going to see one? Yeah. Yep, halfway in the middle. So... well, look, he just stopped. He's like, yeah, that's enough. That's enough. I don't think he's getting beaten. 0.5 of a second quicker than the field out of that lap. He must be happy with it.
I'd say he'd be absolutely ecstatic, but it now also puts all the pressure on Michael Whiting if he wants to start on pole. I mean, he's currently on the front row of the grid. He's got 4/10 of a second back to Delaney in P3. But yeah, that pressure's now on him, or even the pressure's on someone else to now rise up, as Blake Delaney actually pips tyre to get into P3, 128.19 there from that last lap time. So, these times are coming at us, fast and furious, but these boys need to pick up on Brandon's level out in pole at the moment with a 127.
It's always the most exciting part of qualifying when you move into the last 10 minutes or the last 5 minutes, because these guys are trying so hard, and this track isn't the longest, but you can't afford too many mistakes on your lap, because you don't get too many resets. But the times are close in both classes, and that's what we're looking for when we come race time. What have we got? We've got about 4.5 minutes until it's go time, and that's when the night starts, because it's going to be awesome looking at these guys go down in the 20.
What's funny is, so Blake improved his time last lap, and he's actually gone better again in the first sector. He's He's matched or gone slightly slower in the second sector, but he's actually gone better, a personal best in the third sector now. So he's currently the fastest man on track in that first sector around here. He's got 2 to go as he comes out of the boot section onto the rest of the club circuit. And this could be quite an impressive time from Blake. I think this may actually be a 27. I just don't know if it'll be close enough to Brandon's pole.
I think he just nicked the ball there on the exit of 1. Let's see what he can do. Oh, he does pip his teammate though. 27.9. You were dead right. It was a 7, but it would have been a monster effort, like almost out of reach to get a 5, I think. But great lap from Delaney. 7.9 gets into the 7s.
So I mean, now puts a little bit of pressure on Michael, but I don't know if I think the pressure probably is more coming from the banter that might be happening from their Discord at the moment of Blake saying he beat his time, but we can see him. He was covered in slow into the last couple of corners. He wanted to set himself up here for a good flying lap as he comes around the final corner. We might just watch Michael here, see what he does over the course of this lap. We can just go on board with him and just see how he tackles the lap of this Watkins Glen circuit. It's a beautiful entry through turn 1. Remembering you can go slightly wide off the exit. The track limits are actually quite far out there. And then full pelt up the hill, no lift whatsoever. Trying to get this car into top gear as fast as possible. But he does not go best in the first sector. In fact, he's not actually even bettered his own first sector time. So this lap may not even... Oh, as he stacked it out the exit of the bus stop. Lucky to not hit the wall, but I believe that should be qualifying over for Michael because he's now going to be able to get back round and start another lap, and those tyres will be cooking right now, Peter.
He'd be dirty at himself, but I think that may have been triggered because it was only shortly after he would have got given the sector split for sector 1, so that may have been because he wasn't near the time. That may have triggered that. So, but he'll push on. He knows he's an experienced racer. He'll push on. He'll put his head down. He probably won't come out again. Maybe I'm not too sure, but let's see what happens when we come to the race. But don't write him off. But that's a mistake that he's made in quali. He won't make again.
Yeah, I think it's important now he learns from that mistake and then just tries to not do it in the race. Just quickly though, Ty Delaney has gone best in the second sector, so this could be a wild lap from him, although he needs to... Oh, and as I say that though, he puts it in the wall from a lock-up in the rear. Bit of commentator's curse for him. Unfortunate, because that could have been a really, really good lap from the young fella.
That's sometimes the case, when you come out too strong. I think we've seen that in the NRL team. But they come out too strong, and while the other couple of the sectors of the lap, well, you just can't withstand that pace. But maybe he's pushing a little bit too hard in sector 1 and 2, but it looks great. He knows he can do it. Let's see him reset. He may even be able to break it with the draft in a race.
I think Brandon Grotch might actually be feeling the pressure right now because he's actually come back out on track. So he wants to have a crack at one more lap here. Michael Whiting yet again not able to improve his first sector time, so that may be where the time is having to come from him. Grotch is currently faster in his first sector, and he has gone session best in the second, so this could be an even quicker time here from the current pole sitter. He really just wants to put a pin in this, doesn't he, Peter, and just say, hey, you know what? I am the fastest today. No one can touch me.
Would have been great to be a final in the Discord room that their team would have been to see what changes he made. He's definitely come out with a point to prove here. Well, we were asking about a 27 before, and he busted it by 5/10. Can he bust it again by 5/10 to get a 4? That's probably out of reach, but he definitely looks quick, and let's see if he can go again. But wow, the purples are looking good for Grotchi at the moment.
Well, he's gone as good, if not slightly worse, in his second, his third and fourth sector. And he's actually pulling into the lane, so he has backed out of the lap. But what could have been for that lap then, as Michael Whiting actually crosses the line, does the session best final sector, but unfortunately the start to the lap was just not good enough. It wasn't even better than his personal best, so that will bring our qualifying pretty much to an end there, Peter. I mean, a couple of cars out on track, but I doubt they're actually going to finish their laps. So it may be, at the moment, Grotch starting out a pole with Blake Delaney alongside.
Just fitting too, the only two drivers to get in the 27s, 0.4 of a second quite comprehensive by the number 2 Grotch. But yeah, the two drivers in the 27s, they're going to be the front row. Watch them down in turn 1, 2, and yeah, it's clear heads will prevail, but you've got a solid row 2 and 3 as well behind. So top 6 in the faster class, watch them make moves early on.
Well, Matthew Gerard, somehow, this is his only lap he's actually going to be able to set. He crossed the line before the end of qualifying. So he is out there to do 1 lap. So he will be the final one to cross the line for us here. He's obviously doing personal best sectors because he hasn't actually set a lap previously in the qualifying. But we'll just have to see where he ends up here. I doubt he's going to be able to match that 27.5 being that he hasn't actually done any session best sectors so far. And I don't even think he's even going to crack the 20s actually. I think he might struggle to do it. As he comes around the final corner, crosses the line. I don't even think his time was actually allowed. He must have gotten an off track because it hasn't even come up on the data screen for me. So I think Matt is going to be starting from the rear of the grid for those GTPs without being able to set a time in qualifying.
That might have been a busy life scenario. Get in the session, scoff down your dinner, and just do 1 last lap in practice, and be like, "All right, I got this." Possibly, I don't know. It's speculation.
Let's quickly bring up our starting grid here for tonight's race. Of course, actually, I forgot to change it from the other night, so we actually have to scroll all the way back up to the top. So Brandon Grotch for Frog Leap Juice Racing will start at a pole position in his number 2 Cadillac GTP car, just ahead of Fishing Motorsports' Blake Delaney out of P2. Michael Whiting, his teammate, will start out behind him there out of P3, with Troy Maguire, another teammate of his, starting out of P4. So it's a fishy locked out second row of the grid for this race. Jake Edwards will then start at a P5 for CXR, just ahead of Fishing Motorsports' Ty Delaney out of P6. Pat Oliver will then start at a P7 ahead of Velocity Racing Team's Jordan Ferguson. In behind him in P9 is his teammate Jack Michelson. Doug Gowans for Velocity SimLab. 2 separate Velocity teams, we have to remember that. Starting out of P10 here tonight, ahead of Quantum Pegasus Performance driver Scotty Van Loon out of P11. Wayne Edwards will then start out of P12 for Webb's Sim Racing here tonight. With Adam Simpson for Fishing Motorsports, unable to set a time in qualifying, starting out of P13. We saw Matthew Gerard, unfortunate for himself and Velocity Sim Labs, unable to set a time. He will start at a P14 here tonight. Patrick Frame got pole for the GT3 class for Respect the Meatball Racing. That is a tongue twister. He will start at a P15 overall, P1 in class here tonight. Greg Barber from CXR will then start alongside him, with Alexander Ganotas starting out of P17 for Corsa Rosso. Nathan Gardner will start at a P18 here tonight, just ahead of Frog Leap Juice Racing's Braden O'Loughlin at a P19, with Aaron Schroeder starting at a P20 for Corsa Rosso. P21 will go to Harry Dodds for Frog Leap Juice Racing, just ahead of Sean Benici for Frog Leap Juice Racing, his teammate, at a P22. Stephen Brooks will then start at a P23 ahead of Tyler Sheaf out of P24, with Marty Mitchell starting at a P25. 26 will then go to Chris Tomlin for Inside Lane Sim Sports, starting ahead of Callan Hodgkinson for Crisscross Racing, who was unable to set a time. Big thank you as well to our race control here tonight, Stefan McCartan and Tyson McAvoy, doing the absolute business for us every single week. And it's great to have them out there. But, well, Pete, we're going to get into some phenomenal action here tonight for these cars as we await the safety car to pull them away and bring them round for the rolling start.
Well, the rolling start's all about calming the nerves, getting a little bit of warmth in your tyres and just getting your mind set for what could be long green runs, and they've got to prepare for maybe someone to send it up the inside of you and of probably a couple of you down into turn 1. So they're going to be prepared, and what are we told in real life on the road is expect the unexpected. I think these guys, they've been around the bush, haven't they? Quite a couple of times. They know what to expect, but still the nerves are high, and let's see what they can do. They just got to go into this race as open mind. 45 minutes. You only need 1 stop if we go green. That's going to be interesting. The lights are up, mate.
They are. So the safety car will now pull the GTP field away from the GT3s. Remembering that it has to be a bit of an offset start in this racing in case there is an incident involving the higher class of cars. It also allows them to catch the GT3s a little bit faster in this race. So These GTPs will get ready to go racing off this rolling start. The safety car's already pulled away and pulling into the lane. These guys have already been told, keep the pace, get ready to go racing here tonight. And let's just hope we can have a clean lap 1 here for round number 2 out at Watkins Glen.
Front 2 rows. They're in the pond, the fishies and the froggies. They've raced around each other a lot, those 2 teams, so we'll look out for, well, at least the first 3 rows. It's quite a fluoro-looking grid, as it looks like he's pulled away from the field, and we're green again, 3 wide early down to turn 1.
See how we go here. You just see the swarm of fishies in behind the leader at the moment. A couple of people already dropping spots. As I mentioned, just trying to take it easy here on this first lap. We did mention that these danger zones, these are where these cars are going to have to take their time and just stay consistent through as we come up to the bus stop for the first time. Let's just double check how these GT3s are going off the start as they come up the hill. They actually haven't really might do Peter, but they are now coming down straight up towards the bus stop.
Yeah, let's hope that don't cause any issues further on, but it looks pretty good from both classes as we make our way into the bus stop for the first time. And I think that Porsche got a little bit airborne through there, but good start from both classes, and that just shows the stature of these drivers right now. But clear heads for Val, 45 minutes, game on.
Adam Simpson apparently already had it off track, but he is back on again, although he is about 6 seconds behind the car ahead of him now. There's being moves up ahead. Doug Gowans has gone off track at the next corner, out into the sand. This is now going to bring Simpson back into a battle with him. And we've got winner last time out. The car down this week already. Things are already spicing up here as we come onto lap 2. Back on board with Brandon Grosh.
Yeah, there's a few early position changes, but one thing for certain, Grotchi, he's got a point to prove, doesn't he? Out in front early, and I'm sure he'd be loving it. He'd be loving the view behind, but the fuel saver, Blake Delaney, don't discount him. He's got strategy in his mind. He from that one.
Check this out. Apparently, there's been a big crash at turn number 8. Stuff saying that it is something's happened down there, so we'll have to wait and see as Doug Gowans has had an incident. Let's quickly check this out. What's he done here? So he was leading Adam Simpson up into the bus stop. He's then come through, jumped the curb, massive slide through the bus stop there and into the wall with the back of that car. I reckon he'll be needing a tow off that. One of his wheels are locked. We may be getting a safety car nice and early here, Peter, because I don't think that Acura is going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, it was just one of them spots that we spoke about earlier, that if something's going to happen, something's going to happen, and I do indeed. That well, we've got local yellows there at the moment. It's not in a good spot there, but it's all his own doing, but big impact with the wall. Put himself in a dangerous position though, and it is a safety car.
So the safety car is out on track. You see it here, the promo department safety car out in the McLaren GT4. That GT4 car, it's a good choice for a safety car, I think. It looks like the road car. It's nothing too egregious or offensive using an actual race car, obviously, but I think the McLaren's a good pick because, again, those GT4s, they look a lot like the road car. They haven't got a lot of extra aero on them compared to their production counterpart.
Earlier in our intro, Hamish said, well, it's a McLaren. When you get a chance to drive it, you're going to drive it. But it looks good with the promo department livery on it, and he's going to keep them underway. But it is fitting. It's absolutely, it's a stunning car, isn't it? It's an absolute stunning car. I haven't spent much time behind the wheel, mate, but it's a stunning car to look at.
Unfortunately, though, this one does not spit flames like the GT3 version. That is one thing I hope. If they ever bring in an updated version of a McLaren GT3 car, that they keep the flamethrower on the back, because it is one of the best iRacing memes I think there's ever been, is the fact that that thing spits flames.
well, you pick car firstly because of that, regardless of its speed, don't you? Oh, that one spits flames, that's mine, and then you make it work. So we see that, I think, people's selection for different reasons. That could be even an interview question. Why did you choose your car? And was it just something cosmetic like the flames and you just made it work? But 100% the flames in any car, if there's one class that does it and one not, you're going to choose the one that does all day.
So apparently a couple of the drivers have come into the pits for repairs, Jordan Ferguson being one of them in the GTP field, Velocity Racing Team driver. So he's already come in, so he must have been involved in something. It hasn't actually shown up on the data screen for me to go and have a look at. But, I mean, that early pit stop, will that mean that he has to pit again, or do we reckon he can make it home from here?
We did say one stop, and safety cars breed safety cars. I don't want to commentate it because this early, but you know, we did speak in the intro and the start of the broadcast that, you know, only a couple of safety cars, and we think two or three, that throws your strategy out and you could probably get home. But if it's too early like this and then we go green runs, that throws it out again. So I'm not too sure. I think these guys, they've got their strategy and probably haven't thrown it out yet, but I don't know, they'd be close to.
I think maybe, I mean, he's at the, there's two cars behind him in the GTP field, and they're at the back of the GT3 train. So he's P12 at the moment. Even if he has to pit again, he's not actually out of the woodwork, being in the fact that he's still within the train. So he can still gain positions on track. He's not left behind anyone. So he could still actually gain from this, being at the back of the field, being able to avoid incidents ahead of him if they occur.
Yeah, track position, I think, is probably key. And yeah, just still off the restart, treat it like a the race start, and they done pretty well. We did go a little bit with before incident, so let's see if we can do it again. And it's going to be single line, and by the sound of this, the safety car might be close to coming in.
Yeah, I think more than likely going to come in this lap. They normally leave it out there for probably about 2 or 3 laps, depending on how many wave rounds there are. As Trevor Dwyer is actually now getting left past the GT3 field, so he will now come to the back of the GTP as well. So he'll be able to go back into the action now and have a real good crack at getting past these guys and back up onto the top step of the podium, like when he did last time out at Red Atlanta.
You'd like to back it up. You'd want to be up there. And, you know, round 1, round 2, the pretty much the scoreboard still you can repair any wrongdoing in round 1, and he wants to back up a good performance from round 1. So there's lots to play out here.
So I mean, Brandon, he had a really, really good start. He's now been drawn back into the line of fire from the Fishy and other cars alike in behind him. This restart's going to be key for him here, Pete. I mean, do you reckon he goes before the final corner, off the exit of the final corner, or maybe he holds them all the way to the line?
You would probably think on the exit of the final corner. Watkins Glen, the final corner's it's challenging when you're in a group, but single file probably not so much. I think probably on the exit and just boot it and go for it, and you'll probably see a couple of really quick laps from the number 2 driver out in front. But it is key to get out in front early. I would still stand by the exit of the final corner, but he could prove me wrong. He could hold them up. It's a guessing game, and only he knows.
I think maybe sometimes if you can actually maximize your run through the second to last corner and get that speed going before the final corner, that can be a benefit sometimes, because you can catch the drivers in behind napping a little bit. But what can also occur is if you predict there's going to be multiple safety cars, maybe you actually then plant the seeds to make them think you're always going to go at the same spot. And later in the race, you go slightly earlier and you build that gap, you know, early. And maybe that's the plan. Maybe that's the thought process.
Yep, there's a lot of maybes when it comes to drivers. You never know, really, what they're thinking. The safety car's pulled away, and the number 2 has control. He was just about to answer our question, and he's holding them up. He's still holding him up, mate, but let's have a look. Where does he go?
Well, I mean, the safety car's gone before the exit of the boot section, so 2 corners left on this circuit when they come out. It'll be interesting to see when he does go. And we'll just have to, you know, it's all up in the air, really. Okay? Determining when does he want to go. When does he want to maximise this? He looks to be going a bit slow for the second to last lap. I reckon he might be right. I reckon he's holding to the exit of the final corner.
Wants to see the message come up on screen. We've been called green flag from race control. Let's have a look. And he's gone on the exit.
Yep.
And a good exit too. Good run, but Delaney's gone with him. Delaney's gone with him. Let's have a look how the rest of the field gets through, but they're running down the hill. And Brendan Grotch with the start. He did catch him a little bit. Nothing. Big incident turn 1.
That is a massive incident turn 1. Michelson on the inside of Michael Whiting there through turn 1. They were 3 wide, Peter. And just a bit of contact there. Be interesting to see what the stewards say. I'll catch a replay of it at the end of this lap just to see what may have occurred through that process of the corner. Back to the leader, Brendan Grotch. He's left Delaney slightly napping here, but he is still under a second, so we still have that toe advantage down the back straight.
And these 2 drivers that we're paying attention to right now, these are the 2 drivers that did only get into the 27s in their qualifying session. They're the 2 drivers that have a good lead. I think it's about a 0.7 or no, actually it's 1.2 seconds of a lead from the rest of the field. There's a good battle behind them. They'd like to be seeing that. But yeah, don't write off Delaney, but Grotch, he'd be happy with his performance so far, and so would the rest of his team. But incidents after safety cars, it becomes the new norm, doesn't it?
It does. Let's just have a quick look back to this incident between Michael Whiting and Jack Michelson. They're coming down towards turn 1. They're 3 wide. Well, he appears to be far enough up, and I mean, it almost looks like Michael's actually turned in with a little bit, but again, that's going to come down to the race controllers. They're going to be able to have a look at this at all angles and really determine who was at fault for that one, or if it was a racing incident. So that's leaving their hands to make that decision, of course.
Yeah, 100%. And Loveless job, as we've already mentioned, but they'll do their best to get the right decision done. But yeah, well, that's just that's just part of racing. But they'll move on, and hopefully, if there is further safety cars like we predict, they can get their strategy back in check at the minute. But out in front, Grotch, Delaney and Michelson in the GTP, and Frame is still holding out the GT3, and Gandis and Gardner, that's your podium for the GT3s.
And current top 4 is all Ferraris in that GT3. Into the Porsche there. The only Merc sitting P-Fast class. So these guys, it's looking like the Fez. I mean, being the newest car on track for these GT3s is looking to be the strongest of them all at the moment in terms of maybe some buffing from the creators here at iRacing. But Matthew Gerard has had an incident here coming down towards the bus stop. What's he done here? He's hopped the curb and just lost control, and it is almost a picture-perfect representation of recreation, I should say, of Doug Gowan's crash there. Although he's actually hit the front end, not the rear end, and he has lost a wheel off that car. But he may just be having to nurse this back to pits now, as I believe Greg Barber in the GT3 class through turn number 1. We're going to come up the hill. Oh, they lock cars and they're into the wall on the edge of the track. That is not that's a sight for sore eyes, I think, as the leaders, as Michael Whiting, Doug Gowans, they both come in. Sorry, so we may be under safety car once again if these other boys are not rolling.
It was unfortunate, quick succession of incidents, funnily enough for us, in different classes. So let's see how they can bounce back from that. Jack Nicholson, though, he's going to be out in front, I do believe, if my timing's correct. But yeah, that was very fast. I don't think my timing's correct, so scrap what I just said, Hamish.
That's okay, mate. I mean, technical difficulties happen to the best of us, doesn't it? So But I mean, Michelson, as long as he doesn't get as long as he doesn't get a penalty for his other incident, he could be on here for actually quite an impressive debut getting onto the podium. Although he does have to deal with a Delaney sandwich being in between Blake and Ty at a P2 and 4. But I don't think Blake's going to want to defend him too hard, otherwise Brandon may just walk away with this thing.
Easy to throw your race away in these cars, isn't it? And it's easy to overcook your tyres at certain critical points of the race, so they'll be aware of that. And just hopefully we get a restart that's a little better than the last one. We did, well, the leaders, they got a good start, but the mid-pack, actually, I think it was probably second, third row, actually. Probably not, you wouldn't call them mid-pack in a field this size, but 3 wide down the turn 1 doesn't really funnel.
So, Roch has actually come into the pits now out of the lead. So it has now given Blake Delaney the lead of this race. I doubt Blake comes in, being now that we're actually, we're under the train, because if he does come in now, he's going to get pushed all the way to the back, without really anything to gain from it, being that the former leader has now come in. He has a much better advantage, being that he's at the front of the field. If we get another safety car within 2 laps, he can come in on that. Brandon's going to be at the back of the field still, and he may be 15 seconds behind him down track when he actually comes into the pits, just based on dealing with that traffic.
Yeah, 100%. I think now what we've just shown, we've done 8 laps, and so your track position is what I'd be going for right now, and it just pretty much backs up what you were just saying. I think you got to stay out of trouble, and being in the sometimes, or most of the time, being at the pointy end of your class, you're more likely to stay out of trouble. But I think right now at the restart, your track position, get out of there and go for it. So I reckon a few lap times from the leaders of both classes. I reckon after this restart, maybe 2 or 3 laps after, I reckon some of these drivers are going to put their foot down.
Yeah, I think, it's all the pressures now. Well, you know what, actually, this is a bit of something that I've just thought of as well. So I know that from commentating the F3s, some of the boys are in the same team, some of the Kittens Racing boys, they're in Discord together. If one of them is leading and the other one behind them is in P2 or 3, they tell them when they're going. So then they actually have an advantage over the other cars. If you look at the leader right now, Blake Delaney, he's got Ty in P3. He can tell him when he's going in the Discord if they're in the call together, and catch Jack Michelson out of P2, and he could be just a sitting duck for a position gained for Ty, and then suddenly it's a 1-2 for Fishy leading off the restart.
100%, and all you just need, everyone concentrates, don't they, especially leading up to a race start. All you need is gone. That's all you need to hear, and you put your foot down and go. And it's good to when you got like these guys up out in front, he's gonna send it down the line as the safety car pulls off, and we're gonna get that. We're gonna see that exercise well now. Watch the Fishy boys work together now and get good starts.
No, the safety car's not pulled away.
Oh, no, he's still out.
It did look like it. I don't blame you. It did actually look like he had pulled away.
Yeah, I was thinking, we're getting ready here. We're getting ready to go. I'm itching more than the drivers, mate. It's been good when we've had green racing, that's for sure. But I still stand by what I've said. I think watch the Fishy boys to call it through.
Yeah, I think, they've got everything to gain right now over their competitors, being with Brandon out in P10. I mean, he's behind a Fishy car at a Troy Maguire, so Troy can in fact even just hold him up if he doesn't think he's able to make his own way through the field. Then he's going to try and get past Adam Simpson. Now, Troy has pit. In fact, he pit on lap. He's pit 3 times, apparently, already in this race. So he's been involved in the wars already. So if he's come in through the lane 3 times, maybe he's able to make it home if he's put fuel in his car, although only his last stop was like 4.1 seconds, so there mustn't be a lot of fuel to put in. But it's got to be interesting because, Brandon has to get past Troy. Adam Simpson hasn't come into the pits yet, but he's a bit further up the road. Ty Delaney, Blake Delaney, they haven't come into the pits yet, and they're a bit further up the road. The only Fishy car that's in behind him right now is Michael Whiting, and that's because of the contact that was occurred with Jack Michelson. But, being in that mid-pack, I haven't seen a lot of Brandon's driving. I don't know if he is an impatient, fast driver. When I say that, I mean the types of drivers who know they're fast and they get impatient waiting behind slower drivers and just go for a move at some point and causes a mistake. It could be proven, though, off this next restart, just to see how he can race through the traffic.
Yeah, and that's the beauty, the absolute beauty. I love it. I don't do much of it. That's probably why I love it. But that's the absolute beauty, in my opinion, of multi-class racing, is you've got that other element of, I think, the GTP drivers, probably called the GT3 drivers, moving blockades, you know what I mean? So they've got to be smart, and that just, these guys that race in the GTP, right, I'm an absolute nufty behind the wheel, right, racing, but these guys have added respect for, because that's, I think the reference we used was rolling the dice. I think the dice cup's absolutely chockers at the minute. I have no idea what's happening, and that's just because of the race, how it's playing out. We still got 25 minutes to go, not even halfway.
Yeah, I know. So, I mean, you know, we're 25 minutes to go, lap 9. If we keep this pace, we're only going to get probably about 15 laps, you know, in this race, and that'll be about, I don't know, 9 worth of racing under green. So it might be time for these drivers just to settle down a little bit. Although these boys up the front, they'll be licking their lips if we get more safety cars, because it's harder for people to pass them on track when you're under full course yellow.
Well, that's it. They're clicking over laps, and what we're doing essentially is we're bringing this sort of, it is a sprint race, you know, for these guys, but you know, it brings it back to a even shorter sprint race, because, well, they've got fresh tyres, they've got fresh minds, they're all having a laugh in Discord, no doubt, at the minute, talking what they're going to do. So they just gear up for a sprint race. So it's exciting if we can stay green, but you're dead right. You just got to put their thinking caps on a little bit, if I can say that, just for, you know, just for 10 minutes, 15, then take them back off and put your elbows out for the last 10.
Well, the safety car has now pulled away, so we'll be getting ready to go green once again. We see Jack Michelson has parked a tent under the rear wing of Blake Delaney here. He wants to get this jump as perfected as possible and try and stick with the leader as best as possible as well. Funnily enough, Michelson only joined the league tonight, and his bits of practice were, well, about 20 minutes in the actual practice session before the qualifying started. So he's looking pretty good for someone who hasn't done any prior practice this week in this BMW. Blake, though, looks to be going. He is holding them to the line, I reckon. He's not gone through the exit of the corner. He wants to try and back him all the way into Ty in P3. He has gone a bit early off the line, and I think, you know, I think we got this dead on, that he would have said to Ty, "I'm going now," just so then he could have the jump over Jack in case he thought he was going to wait until the start finish.
Oh, that was only a tiny jump on me. He does have a little bit of a lead. Well executed, holding him right to the line. Well, everyone thought he was going to the line. He went just before, but good start from the top 5, top 6. There's a bit of a battle going behind him, but good start and good teamwork as he... Oh, no.
He's gone straight on. That'll give him a slowdown. That now puts Jack Michelson into the lead of this race. I can see the run that Michelson had down the straight there. I mean, he was looking super pacey coming up on the back of Blake. I have to wonder if there may have been a problem, or if that might have just been a bit of a rookie mistake off the restart for the Fishy driver.
Yeah, it doesn't often happen, does it? But, oh, I don't know whether he just thought that was probably the lesser of the two evils, but he run straight. That would have cost him probably 2.5 seconds in slow down. That's put him a little bit back in the order. Well, not really, second.
Yeah. It's put him down back to P3. Ty's actually ended up back in behind him, but now what it's done is it's taken Blake out of P1, put him P3, and actually now moved Jake Edwards up into P2 in this race. Remembering, though, that these guys actually do need to pit again. Or that they will need to pit. They haven't actually pit yet. But maybe they're hoping for a few more safety cars, because we get a few more safety cars, the fuel saving will actually mean that they don't need to pit in this race.
That's it. No, we got 3 wide further back, but a smart driver once told me that you never plan for safety cars, but you sort of have to, don't you? When we've had 2 in quick succession, lap 11. I don't know, these guys, we were saying, come on guys, settle it down a little bit. I don't think they are. Well, not in the mid-pack anyway.
See here, got some nice hard action going from P2 back. We can just see how the Cadillac there of Jake Edwards just hopped to the curb, just buddy hopped straight over it, like he's in X Games mode right now. And He's trying to build as much of a gap as he can over late to lady. His pattern looks to get to move down the inside on the fishing line. Somehow, these boys are just going further and further back right now off of this restart. If you're a fishing fan, you hate to see it.
Yeah, you definitely do hate to see it, but yeah, I'm not too sure whether the restart went their way, but you'll see them fight back anyway. But it's good racing, good viewing anyway. So far, so good. And we've almost reached the halfway of the race. Or a little bit over now.
Yeah, a little bit over. Interestingly enough as well, the top two in the GT3 class, Patrick Frame, Nathan Gardner, they're the only two GT3s to not pit in this race so far. So unless we don't see the safety car, they have a nice little gap actually out to P3 in Harry Dodds. But if these guys pit under green conditions, they're going to get chewed up by that field. And might not be a good look for them if they drop all the way down to the rear of the grid.
You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, didn't it? They're sticking to their guns this time. They've got a number, obviously. We've got 212 receiving a black flag. We'll try and unpack that. But Harry Dodds, they're picking and sticking, and hopefully for that team, because he's really put in an effort that doesn't fold on him.
So the 212 is Chris Tomlin. So maybe he's actually gone over the incident limit quite possibly, or maybe something's happened to him here. But already a couple of drivers in the pits as well out of the GTP class. Ty Delaney, Jordan Ferguson, these guys in the pits. Ty's actually had a bit of a crooked entry there into his pit box. He's currently sitting almost 30 degrees facing the wall right now, so that'll be an interesting exit for him as he drops. Jordan, though, still sitting there, not taking tyres on this one, maybe taking a bit of extra fuel, though. Apparently, though, I've been told in the chat they've actually been involved in an accident, so we'll see if we can actually find a replay. I have actually got it here, I'll bring it up. And we can just see what's happened to the post. They were running within the 10. As they came around the final corner. Oh, Ferguson's just lost it on the apex there. That was a big stack. And if he's already used his fast repair, that could be race over for him. So, and that also explains why Ty was kind of crooked in his box. He had massive crabbing coming into the pit lane.
A bit lucky there to just finish. We're unlucky, obviously, to be involved in it, but lucky he was only just able to pull into that into the pit road there. So I wonder if he copped a little bit of an extra time for that pit entry as well. So it was interesting, but I think it was the lesser of the two evils in trying to go around at half pace, not even.
Yeah, I think
Troy Maguire has got a black flag. Sorry, Hamish.
Oh, that's all right, mate. All good. Thank you for letting me know that. So, I mean, they're coming quick and fast right now. These black flags. We already saw Chris Tomlin cop one in the GT3 class, and now, well, the round one winner has also got this is really thrown a spanner in the works. I think also without a safety car now, this may be race over for Ty Delaney because he is far down that order, and well, without him being able to catch back up to the GTP field, with the majority of them being into the lane already, I don't see any chance for him to be able to get back in this.
He's going to have to try and use the lap traffic as much as he can, although the speed comparison is that different. That probably hinder him trying to get the draft or whatever, but he may be able to use them a little bit down the straights, but he's just going to have to be smart, not let him slow him down, and try and keep a level head, because right now he's frustrated. He's got lap traffic, or not lap traffic, slower class in front of him. He's got to really, now's the time to show his maturity. He's only a young fella, but watch this guy shine, because this is a pressure moment in the race for this this driver here.
Tell you what, Brandon Grotch is already up into the top 5, Pete. He has now drawn back in the leaders. He's 4 seconds behind P1 in Jack Michelson. And the top 4 have not pit in this race yet, so they will be hoping and praying for more safety cars. Because more safety cars means the more fuel they can save and less likelihood of them needing that pit stop.
As well, they're going to have the lightest cars out there if we stay if we get a few safety cars. So the top 4, if they don't have to pit, they're going to be in a league of their own, I think, because the rest of them have pit, and they're going to have just a little bit more weight underneath them, as we see good battle for the what is it? You would say almost effective lead if we stay green.
Yeah, I'd say provisional lead, although Blake does need to come into the pits. Currently, as it stands, Michael Whiting is actually classified as provisional P2 because he has come into the lane. And, well, the other drivers ahead of him, 5 out of the 6 have not been, so he's got provisional P2 at the moment, without those safety cars and fuel-saving scenarios, as we mentioned in this race.
This goes to show what we're saying right at the top of the broadcast, isn't it? That we have no idea, but it's a match made in heaven. How good is it? Multi-class here at Watkins, and we're into the last 10 just, and we have probably a tiny idea what's going to happen, but top 4 questionable if we stay green. I know that for sure.
Well, one thing that I've just found interesting, it's taken us half an hour for the GTPs. The leader is only just coming up to the major portion of this GT3 train at the moment, and that is all because of the safety cars that we've had. Normally, the argument should take them 2 or 3 laps because they've been under green for such a short amount of time. It's taken them a fair bit longer to come up to this lap traffic, but this now gives an advantage to P1 because he doesn't have anyone in front of him in terms of competitors. He's just going to be able to eke his way through the traffic here, and if anyone else behind him start getting into battles while they're trying to get past this field, he's just going to be able to stroll ahead and hopefully build himself a little gap if he wants to take the lead.
As I mentioned earlier as well, I've got added respect for these GTP drivers because this is smart driving as we're watching play out now. The race is his. He uses the GT3 class car to his advantage. He's already got a little bit of a gap out. It's his to lose, is what I'm saying, but can he get home? I don't know. I think if he's going with the lap times that he is now, I reckon he's confident he can get home. But I think if he can use this lap traffic to his advantage, I reckon it's his.
Yeah, and I think maybe if we only get one more safety car. I mean, I'm not quite 100% sure what the fuel numbers were this week, as Matt Gerard and Wayne Edwards have both had a crash. Let's quickly have a look at it. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the fuel numbers are actually like, how much they actually need to save if they want to do it on a no-stop. Coming in turn 1, oh, and he's just locked the rears, and that has just shot Wayne Edwards into the exit of turn 1, and I reckon this may be safety car worthy at the moment, Peter, because that yellow Beamer didn't appear to be looking very healthy.
It didn't. He went into that tyre wall. It looked soft, but I think the damage was done before. But yeah, he doesn't look to be moving that thing. He has in fact towed. Let's just have a look. A couple of guys getting there. Black's flag cleared. A couple of guys getting their blacks, getting the black flag. So race control busy. I do believe we're still green at the minute. So lucky. Yeah,
I think maybe they've looked at it. They've thought, well, we've already had quite a few safety cars, so maybe just have a little bit of a break for it at the moment and let the field kind of spread out and even themselves out a little bit here throughout the rest of the series.
Well, 32. What are we? 32 minutes in. I said we were in the last 10 before. My math is shocking. We still got 13 minutes to go, so we've gained a bit of time. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I think race done for Edwards. But Michelson still leads the way in the GTP. So we go to a replay.
Oh, and they've disappeared on me mid-replay. A couple of fishies, though, have had a bit of contact. Unfortunately, we've lost that replay there. But if I just go back to Delaney's car, it's pretty tidy at the moment. So I think Troy may have actually been the worse off from it too, although he's still rolling as well. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't actually as bad as what SDK was telling me it was.
Sometimes it's pictured you up. Oh, there's an incident. Let's have a look. And, oh, no, it's nothing. What are you talking about? But maybe we just may have missed it. It may have been worse. Well, let's go with yeah, let's push on. But yeah, the guys are still further down the field than what they should have been, or what they wanted to be anyway. But
let's just quickly suss on that. They pulled out reasonable gap back to P3. It's around about 4.5 seconds from the leader back to the P3 Alexander Ganotis. So remembering that these top two, they may need a bit depending on how much fuel they've been able to save through these safety cars. And in fact, how much they're actually saving whilst getting lapped by the GT3s, because that's also an advantage the GT3 drivers can have, is you slow up a little bit, you let the GTP pass, and you save a little bit of fuel as well. It's a bit of a win-win.
Yeah, I think with the GT3 they can use the GTP a lot more than the other way around. I think the GT3 just get in their way, and that's probably how they see it. But GT3, dead right. You just get down there, you lose them pretty quick. But, you know, you might still save that couple of 100 metres, and you probably gain 2 or 3 extra kilometres down that straight. So all in all, saving and quicker.
Well, P2 in the class is actually now coming to the pits, so I would say that P1 won't be far ahead of him here, as there is a car off track at the exit of that corner. It's Blake Delaney, and he's lost the rear wing. The car looks drivable, so he may just want to try and bring this back in the pits, and it's a race that is just going from worse to worse for these GTP drivers out of fishing.
Yeah, we were thinking about they were all settled, wasn't it? We're going to get home, or is there going to be another safety car? But it looks like we're saying we're green, but the incidents are aplenty, and I don't know, these cars are built for endurance. I don't think the tyres should be causing them issue. Maybe able to stand being corrected, but just a few, I don't know, what it's looked like is just personal errors, I think.
Well, normally a GTP spends about 45 minutes on a normal race. That's how long your tyres last. You can't double spin tyres in sports car racing. The GTs, the GT3s, an hour. So the GT3s should have no problem on tyres. I doubt any of the GTPs would take tyres, because they're going to do about a stint's length in this race, and even then, due to the safety cars, the tyres won't even be that old by the time you actually get to the end of this race. So it's going to be interesting to see what the tyres will be like later in this one, as Doug Gowans is parked up at the exit of the bus stop once again. He was rolling around without a rear wing. He was doing his best Peugeot GTP impression out there. Just hooked the curb and then bang, straight into the wall, and that car is not going anywhere. And it'll be interesting to see if we get a safety car out of this one, Peter, or if they'll just let him tow.
Not too sure. We'll have to have a look. You know, I don't think we're going to have a safety car because it's so close to the end, but race control may throw one up again. Just another error, and I think the credit's got to go to you, mate. The hot spots to keep an eye out. You've absolutely killed it tonight. We've been watching them hot spots and grabbed all the incidents, and you've nailed where the incidents are going to happen.
Oh, I think maybe that just comes from my history of broadcasting this track or even racing this track, but what I've seen previously, it all comes down to the statistics. Where are these spots that are kind of the most dangerous when you're driving? And yeah, those. I'm surprised actually we haven't really seen anything happen off the exit of the boot on the bump, because that was what really killed the F3 drivers when we came in the last time for F3s. But maybe it just comes down to how much more these cars, they actually don't lift as much when coming over that bump.
I think I struggle there all the time. It's also pretty surprising how quick you can get on power, because it is uphill on the exits. Position 2 and 3 in the GTP class are having a pretty good battle as well behind the leader and clicking it over. We got Frame in the pits. It's all happening once again, ready to get us home for the last 3 minutes.
Yep. No, it'll be 7 minutes. 6 minutes. Over to just under 39 minutes gone in this race at the moment. So now puts Alexander Ganotis out of P1. He's got about 7.3 seconds back to Braden O'Loughlin. So if he can keep this clean, I think this will be a well-earned victory for him here tonight. The question on our lips between our 6 starters, how is the top 3's full scenario? Have they saved enough to make it home? They're going to have about 6 minutes of running from now. Brandon Glotch, if these guys come in the pits, take that P1 position. Or is this massive traffic issues coming through the bus stop. That's going to let Edwards pass Michelson. That's one of the issues that we've had occur. We see another official car off the exit there, and it's Blake Delaney once again, Peter.
Yeah, he's had an unlucky race, hasn't he? Blake Delaney, and this is full accidental from the GT3 drivers as well. They're racing. We're into the the last stage of the race. They're racing, and a little bit of complacency with who's around them, but everyone's fighting. But Delaney, you got a feel for him.
Just pushed him too hard through the bus stop once again. Just backed it into the tyre barrier, and I think it's it's a day that he will want to forget for sure, because that has been his real problem area this race. But now we've got Edwards P1, Michelson P2, Oliver P3, Rock P4, and Simpson P5. But again, the fuel numbers are the question that we have as Michelson and Oliver come in. So I would say Edwards won't be far behind them. So it's going to put Rock back on P1.
Cool, that probably a few laps ago. Roch was the effective leader. It looks like we're going to see green, didn't we? I think we've only had 2 safety cars, and they were pretty close together at the start of the race. Lap traffic's becoming a play, but the fuel, a safety car. Is it only a safety car away for Jake Edwards to be able to make it?
We can't get another safety car in this race. That is the cutoff. So it means that he will need to come in for fuel if he has not saved enough over those 2 safety car periods, and of course the rest of the race as well. So I would say more than likely, actually let's get a shot in the background for the following boys, but the GTB and the GT3 beside each other, but I would say it's more than likely this is Roch's to win now, because Edwards will very likely need to come into the pits to fuel.
100%, I've got you there, and that was an awesome shot seeing the fish car, the Froggy boys coming down the hill. And I did notice that the GTP used it for a little bit, but the speed comparison or the speed difference got out there quick smart. But yeah, you're 100% the 97 Edwards. He's leading the race though, so he's got to be happy with that. But that's sure going to change where it's going to drop him. He's not going to pull the foot. Here he goes. Is he going to? He's staying out. He's staying out again. Yep. All right, here we go.
So he's still staying out. So I don't know. I mean, maybe he's just hoping that Roch has a crash, but then he still has to worry about Simpson hasn't pitted yet either in P3. So he hasn't really got enough gap back to Whiting out of P4 to get the stop done. And again, he can't have a safety car. So it's all going to be about the fuel saving now.
Across the grass.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, I just noticed that. Sorry to kick in there.
No, that's all right. It was actually the leader of the class, Alexander Ganotis.
Would have copped a slow down. I think he just couldn't stop there. But Jake Edwards, he'd be happy out there at the minute leading. And he's got a 0.8 lead, 0.9 now. He'd probably want to go in with just a little bit over a second and see what he can do. And it's interesting to see where he falls out. I'm gonna falls behind. I'm gonna guess between McGuire and Oliver, possibly maybe behind Whiting.
Yeah. Oh God, I think you got to remember it's a 30 to 40 second pit lane travel time, so he's probably actually going to come out around about Oliver and Michelson, because those guys are around about 30 seconds behind him. But there could be some massive fuel saving happening at the moment as he does come in, so he just can't make it. So it now promotes Groch back up into P1. Sean Benici, though, the only American out there, another Frog League driver, has actually had an incident. He's coming round the long section bit that separates the boot from the club circuit, catches the curb, just puts him into the wall on the left-hand side of the track.
Easy to do too. Oh, he's gone into the wall as well. He may get away with that, be able to finish the race possibly. He's probably not going to be up to speed, but he may be able to get away with that as he struggles with a few lap traffic around him, but eyes forward. This track has really thrown it up for some drivers here tonight. We haven't been able to showcase it all because it's all happening. We've got yellow flags in a couple of sectors now. So who's going to win? I think it's Grotch, but I think the mid-pack's going to be up for grabs still.
Well, ironically, Michael White is now putting the battle back onto Grotch with not even too long to go. I think we may actually get the white flag. We may actually be checking flag this lap. We're about 30 seconds from the end for 45 minutes as Whiting's looking to go for it down the inside. There's contact, and that has pushed Grotch out of the lead of this race. And I think that could very well be a penalty coming from Michael Whiting, because that was a questionable move, Peter.
Yeah, race control is going to be busy. Loveless job. They're going to try and get it right. No doubt they will. I'll leave it there. I'm gutted, mate. That's Michael Whiting's leading the race, but that's a question mark over his head. And Troy Maguire, though, is been elevated up to P2, possibly winning his class.
I mean, how is this? I mean, Troy started down the back of the GTP field. He had a few pit stops early, but he stayed consistent this whole time, and he could be on for a win here if Michael Whiting cops a penalty for that incident 2 weeks in a row. I mean, that would be an insane start to this season. Grotch has actually had to come into the pit, so what this has now done is it has promoted Jake Edwards into P3, Jack Michelson P4, Pat Oliver P5. So if Whiting gets a penalty, depending on what the penalty is, this is a big if, it could actually promote Jack Michelson onto the podium out on debut. But again, that's going to have to be left up to race control and whether they can actually come to a decision before the end of this race, so we know for sure what the finishing positions are.
Yeah, so it's all up in the air. We just take it as it comes. We'll play with it as they give it to us. Nothing's been called of yet, so game play on. Whiting, Maguire and Grotch. Edwards is your three at the minute. In the
Whiting,
GTP, sorry.
That's totally fine, as Whiting will now come across the line to take on-track victory today, Peter, but up in the air at the moment whether there's going to be a penalty for it. Maguire P2, Edwards at P3. Michelson not quite at the line yet. He's about 20 seconds ahead of him here to Edwards. Edwards also not across the line. Too early here, but he'll come round for CXR. He will cross the line, P3 on track. Michelson will cross the line, P4 on track. Pat Oliver not too far in behind. He's got Grotch with a drag race down to the line. Oh, that was picture. That was a photo finish if ever I have seen one, Peter. That was closer. It's really going to show my age here. That was closer than the finish to the race at the start of the original Cars movie between Chick Hicks, the King, and Lightning McQueen. Like, that was just nail-bitingly close.
Well, you had to hold your breath, didn't you? I didn't know. You look, moments like them, you look at the timing, like, who did they give it to? Because I couldn't give it to with the naked eye to look. But, they're moments in racing you live for, them finishes.
So, currently on the timing data, it does say that Pat picked him by 100th of a second, although the timing does not go into the thousandths. So, I actually think it's closer than that. I think it's, thousandths of a second. Between them both there, because as we said, there's absolutely nothing in it.
Yeah, it was a good race, and race control, I think, need a shout out, especially for this one. There was plenty happening, and they kept the race moving, and some people won't agree, but I love calling races where races just keep going, and that was discipline, and what I seen anyway, calling the race, Hamish Race Control done a stellar job to keep the momentum in this race, because you need that in multi-class racing, don't you?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that one, Pete. I mean, the race control in SRW is a class above many others. They are one of the best sets of race controllers, and I think, keeping that flow happening after the halfway point, realizing probably shouldn't actually have too many more safety cars, otherwise might be a bit of a boring race to watch or even compete in. So, they kept the flow going, and it led to some absolutely phenomenal on-track action.
Even though the checkered flag's going, we're still clueless who won this race, Hamish. How ironic is that? We were saying at the top, we have an idea, and well, we've sort of got a better idea now, but we're still not 100%. But as it stands, I think we're going to award the podium as it is, and I think they I think they deserve it. All these drivers out there. It was a tough one. Definitely one of the tougher ones they're going to face in the schedule. But all the leaders, they definitely deserve their congratulations, and I'm sure we'll get a chat with them shortly.
Well, one thing that we do know is we know that the GT3 finishes should actually remain the same. So if we actually bring up our GT3 provisional race results, we have Alexander Ganotis taking out P1 there for Corsa Rosso, with his teammate Aaron Schotter finishing out a P2. So a 1-2 finish for them here out at round 2. Greg Barber will then come home into P3 for CXR, with Nathan Gardner finishing out a P4 here tonight. Patrick Frame will then finish out a P5, just ahead of Harry Dodds for Frog Leap Juice Racing out a P6. He's got his 2 teammates in behind him, the American Sean Benici out a P7, and Braden O'Loughlin out a P8. Tyler Sheaf will then come home out of P9 for Velocity Sim Lab, just ahead of Marty Mitchell from MX Raps Libet Bashers Racing out of P10. Stephen Brooks will then come home P11. Chris Tomlin will come home P12. And Callan Hodgkinson signed up for the session, but did not get out on track and have a crack at this race.
Well, you missed out on a beauty, an absolute beauty. It was great. I think this track remains, it's going to be divisive, whether you love it or hate it, because that's another stunning performance, and a couple of from most of the drivers, and a couple of performances from the other. You know, they're probably going to walk away with this a little bit disappointed, but still good racing. It was still good to watch. It was tough. The strategy, well, hands down to the class leaders, because, well, I had no idea what they were going to do, whether they were going to stick it out and go one stopper or sometimes zero stopper, I thought maybe, but yeah, it was unreal. Sheafy says he was 2 litres short in comments as well, so that's only just, isn't it? That's close to getting home.
Yep, I mean, it's almost tear-jerkingly close. We have got the top 3 from the GT3 class in the green room, as well as Jake Edwards from the GTPs. We'll quickly run through the GTP results, and then we'll bring in our GT3 podium. Currently, and when I say this, it is provisional, because we are not sure if he'll cop a penalty or not. Michael Whiting crosses the line out of P1 for Fishy Motorsports, just ahead of his teammate Troy Maguire out of P2 there. He will now still continue to lead this championship for the GTPs. Jake Edwards will finish out of P3 for CXR, just ahead of Velocity Racing Team's Jack Michelson out of P4. Pat Oliver will finish out of P5, just ahead of Brandon Groach. And when I say just ahead, I mean just ahead. You can see it on the timing. He was 0.005 of a second ahead of him at the line. Super, super tight. The tightest finish I've ever seen in sim racing. Adam Simpson will come home out of P7 for Fishy Motorsports, ahead of his teammate Ty Delaney out of P8, with Matthew Gerard coming home in P9 for Velocity Sim Labs. Scotty Van Loon will make up the top 10 for Quantum Pecky's Performance Racing, with Wayne Edwards from Webb's Sim Racing finishing out of P11. Blake Delaney will finish out of P12, 5 laps down, and Doug Gowns will finish out of P13, 6 laps down. And then Jordan Ferguson, we saw the contact with Ty Delaney, finishes out of P14, 9 laps down on the leaders there. But I reckon, Pete, we might bring in our podium for the GT3 class and see how they thought about that one.
100%. It'd be great to get their thoughts.
Real slow.
Oh, we caught you mid-convo, boys.
You
but,
did. That's all right. That's all right.
That's okay.
Now we can tell. Now we can tell you all about it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can. We get to catch up on it, but phenomenal race here this week, boys. Of course, no Adam Hughes out there, so you actually had a chance at a victory for once in your life. But Greg, I mean, we'll start with you being the CXR representative here tonight, finishing out a P3. Great finish for you there. I mean, you got close in the qualifying to that top end of town, but staying consistent really paid off for you here tonight.
Oh, yeah. Well, it kind of had to after the first couple of laps, mate.
That's very
And just
true.
on that, sorry, mate, just on that, Greg, it's Pete here. First couple of laps would have put it in the mindset that there was going to be a few yellows.
Yeah, so I got I had it in my head that the car was going to be a bit loose on cold tyres in the second last corner. And then, of course, made it safely through the second last corner and promptly spun on the last corner. And then that sort of put me behind the pack. Luckily, safety car got called and I was able to... I actually had to come through the pit lane because I spun into the pit lane. So I sort of topped it up with fuel there, got out onto the back of the pack, and yeah, it was just a matter of trying to pick my way through from there. Had a bit of trouble, but yeah, I think safety cars kind of fell my way there, and obviously got to the end and was a bit short on gas, and so I think Braden must have been as well because he was backing off same as me, and eventually, Braden kind of had a couple of mistakes trying to save fuel, I think, and went over its instant limit, so got a bit lucky there to get on a podium.
Yeah, it was interesting one at Hamish, but it was good to watch.
Yeah, mate, for sure. Now, we saw the contact between you and Chris coming up the hill. Can you give us a little bit of insight on what happened there?
Yeah, I haven't actually seen the replay yet, but I said to the boys in Discord that if anything, it was netcode. Obviously, Chris got the penalty for it. Just was well up alongside and on the inside there. Thought I did reasonably well to hold the inside and just got turned around him. So, as I said, I haven't seen it yet, so I wouldn't want to ping too much blame on anyone. But, it felt like netcode to me.
Fair enough, mate. Well, let us know who's giving you the support out there. Anyone else you want to give a shout out to, mate? Now's your time to do so. Yeah,
so CXR's sponsors, Shunt Scenery, Palmerston Bakery, Doom Designs, Game Changer. They're the ones that spring to mind. I've probably forgotten a couple, but Stefan will kill me. Normally I leave that to Adam.
Ah, yeah, of course. Where is he this week, actually? Why hasn't he raced?
He had a work do or something on. He actually works for a living, can you believe that?
Oh, I can't. Not good enough, to be honest with you.
Well, we're probably lucky that he does, so he's less time on the sim.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, mate, massive congratulations to you on your P3 here tonight. I'm sure we'll have a chat again throughout the season. I mean, you were one of the big boys back in the GT3 Championship, and the only difference now is you have to deal with some of those fast boys coming fast every couple of laps.
Yeah, that's right. I just a bit short on practice time today, so hopefully bounce back next week. Thanks.
No worries, mate. Thank you. Well, a 1-2 finish for you boys, Corsa Row. So we'll start with you, Aaron. I mean, it was a pretty interesting race for the GT3s. How did you find that GTP traffic coming your way and kind of zigzagging in around you guys out there up the front?
Yeah, it was actually pretty good. I only really once got shortchanged on it, and the rest of the time I managed to actually benefit from it. So, I quite like the traffic. It usually falls my way.
Yeah, Aaron, it's Pete here, mate. We spoke about that as well. Do you think it's easier for you guys in the GT3s to use the GTPs as an advantage, or the other way around?
Yeah, you just got to sort of check your mirror in time when they're coming up to you so you can fall straight in behind them rather than running side by side with them.
Yep. How was it out there tonight? It looked great.
It was hard work. I hope you got some good shots because I was battling the whole race. I didn't get one chance to breathe.
It was tough out there, mate.
Yeah, I just didn't quite have the car speed, so I was just going out there trying to defend as best as I could. It was a bit wild.
Yep, well, you withstood it, didn't he, Hamish? You done a great job.
Yeah, mate. You come home. You were kind of lucky with the fact that Patrick had to come in after the safety cars occurred, and it kind of promoted you boys up the order a little bit. But I think you got to be there at the end to really take advantage of those moments. So you did well to get to where you were, and really just elevate yourself to get onto the podium.
Yeah, well, we almost missed getting fuel in the safety car, so we had to get it the second lap, and Pat must have missed out grabbing on the second lap, so he got caught short. But yeah, it was wild.
Well, we might as well keep you both in here because you're going to have pretty much the same people to shout out. Alex, I mean, a win for you here tonight. We did see later on in the race, though, you did actually overshoot the bus stop. Was it a bit of a pucker moment for you, or was it complete control?
Well, when I shot over the bus stop, I had to, change my underwear. But other than that, it was good. I did definitely scare myself there, but I think I was looking at the relative and checking my mirrors because the GTPs were closing up, and then I've gone, my braking mark, and I've just gone over. I'm like, it's all right, keep it straight.
Yeah, mate,
in moments like that, you got to make Hamish. You got to make split-second decisions, say whether you're going to pull it up or keep going. But it would have cost you 2 seconds in a slowdown, but better than binning it, I suppose.
Exactly.
But,
yeah.
Yeah, it was a good
I was
decision.
I was way past the marker at that point. I began to turn it in, and I knew straight away. I was like, "No, I'm just going to go over the grass."
Yeah, good decision.
Well, mate, I mean, I'm hearing a bit of a younger voice, I will say, just so we can compare. Gives us more stuff to talk about in the broadcast. We know Ty Delaney's 14. Are you happy to tell us how old you are, just so we know?
I'm 24. I'm not 14.
Okay.
I'm 24.
Okay.
Holy crap.
Oh, mate,
Okay.
he ages well.
Oh well, I mean, that makes me sound old, I think, because I'm 25, and but I guess you get home with a good win. I hope I didn't offend you by saying your voice sounds
No, not
young.
at all. Not at all.
Weaker 24-year-old. I think we got a new nickname.
Yeah.
Oh no.
But let us know who's giving you boys the support out there. A quality 1-2 finish for you boys, and I mean, you've deserved it after I've just absolutely rinsed you for apparently having a young sounding voice.
We were talking about this before the race, a bit of like, oh, could you imagine? I knew that in like the practice that I had potential for a decent quali, and we were just sort of talking about it. And then when we realized we were in 1-2, we're like, oh my god, like this could happen.
Oh, boys, let everyone know out there who's giving you boys the support, and anyone they can check out, or anyone else you boys want to give a shout out to.
100%. Massive shout out to LaRocca Boulders and Brazard Haircutters. They are two big sponsors. They've been with me as a personal sponsor for a while now. They give me a lot of help. And of course to the team, Corsa Rosso. And just a shout out to Aaron, great racing partner. We get on, we do the work together. And he's been I always feel like I'm a little bit behind him, so it's nice to be in front today.
Yeah, I have to do more practice next week.
Sounds like a great team to be in, boys. Good. Keep pushing on, and you'll get the results.
Absolutely. And a little late shout out. It's my grandmother's 1-year anniversary today since she passed, so it's an amazing day to get the win on. So this one's for her.
Ah, nice.
Very good, mate. Well, thank you for coming to join us here tonight, boys. Massive congratulations on a 1-2 finish, and hopefully we'll see another one come into your future this season. Absolutely. We look forward to being back, hopefully.
Yeah.
No worries, boys. Thank you.
Cheers, thanks.
Well, Pete, an interesting interview that one was, for sure. But, I think again, as I said, those boys, they had to be there at the end to take advantage of that. You could call it a mistake, maybe a bit of unluckiness by Patrick, and they took well advantage, and it gave them a 1-2 finish.
Well, that's what you got to do. You got to take them moments, don't you? You don't get gifted race wins. You got to earn it, and whether it's you win by 5 thousandths, there was a difference in the classes of that, or you win by 10 seconds. You win. You earned it, and well, multi-class racing is a strategy game. You got to be there at the end. You've got to have 50,000 strategies to finish a race. This is 45 minutes. Some of these drivers do 12-hour, 24-hour races, so they know, a little bit. But condense it down. You still got to be a smart racer, and yeah, it could have been, a little bit of a soft win, but a win's a win, and well, you're going to take them, definitely.
100%, mate. Well, let's bring in our GTP podium in here as well. We'll start with Jake Edwards there. Jake, I mean, what a race that was. Highly intense, action all out there, and you come home in a pretty respectable P3 after a bit of unluckiness there for Grotch in the end.
Yeah, it was actually not a bad race, to be honest. I think after the second safety cars, I wasn't too sure whether I needed a fuel save or not. So I was going guns and blazing to try and catch, I think I had Delaney in front of me, but then I think he was on the fuel save dock. So then I was like, oh, maybe that's the strat then. So then I just jumped on it, but I've just missed out by 2 laps.
It's a shame, 2 laps, and I think that's a talk down pit lane too, Jake. It's speed here, mate. What did it feel to win, to lead the race, rather? It was pretty chaotic after the restarts, but it settled down. What did it feel to win, to lead those laps? Did Did you try and, save while you were out there, or did you just want to build a gap to get in? I know you did mention you jumped on the saving bandwagon. Was that before or after you were leading?
Nah, that was before, dude. Like, to lead some of these laps, like, it was pretty cool. But yeah, like, it would have been good if I could have built a gap and just not worry about trying to fuel save. But yeah, sadly, that's what I had to do.
Cool. Well, hopefully the team's doing well, mate, and just keep pushing on, and you'll get the results. Great night.
Thanks, buddy. It's good to hear your voice again, mate.
Yeah, cheers, brother. I'm reading a couple of the comments in there. It's thanks for all the kind words. It's it's a bit different, but definitely missed it. But 100%, you guys make the job easy. I've always said that. But congrats to all the winners here tonight.
Thanks, mate.
Oh, Jake, let us all know, mate, who's giving you boys the support, helping support you up into a P3 finish here tonight. Anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well, mate? Let us all know, who's backing you in this series.
Too easy, man. First off, we'll thank CXR, Crisscross Racing, for having me on board for this season. Shunt Scenery for still being our main sponsor with Palmerston Bakery. DSM Painting Contractors have jumped on board as well. Jennifer Russell Real Estate, Doom Designs, and Pool Master Bayside. And shout out to you boys for putting on a good stream.
Well, mate, thank you very much. Massive congratulations once again on a P3 there. Double podium for CXR, one in each class. I think you showed you had some really, really good pace out there tonight. We look forward to seeing what you can do next week.
Cheers, boys. Thank you.
Thanks. Well, I mean, it's ironic, Pete. I mean, we had GT3s, we had a CXR car P3, and then we had a 1-2 finish for one team in 1 and 2. Even though this is a little bit of a controversial finish in the GTP field, but we have the same scenario. CXR car P3, 1-2 finish here for Fishing Motorsports, though, for this time. Troy, we'll start with you, mate. Winner last time out, P2 at the moment here, provisional P2. At the start, it looked a little bit like, you're a little bit down the order, but somehow you clawed your way back and you found yourself possibly taking a win, depending if Michael were to get a podium or not for the contact on the last lap.
Yeah, for what's happened all week, I didn't really have much practice, and I didn't really do quality runs in that session. I just put a quality run to see where I was going to end up, and ended up in P4, which is not too bad. I'd like to go faster, but it is what it is, I suppose.
We want to go faster. I think that's the mentality of all the drivers. Troy, it's Pete here, mate. We were talking about tyre strat, and we pretty much the whole broadcast. How did your strat go, mate? And how many plans did you go through? Because, well, at the start of this race, it was a little bit stop-start, but then we went green. Were you expecting the long run green, and did you prepare?
You never prepare, because you never know what's going to happen in the race. I didn't have an ideal start to my race. I ended up running out of talent and spinning myself, and then got hit by another GTP car, gave me wheel damage. So then that put me last. I ended up pitting, taking the fast repair, topped that up with a bit of fuel, come out, and a safety car happened to come out for some odd reason, and I just kept coming in lap after lap and just kept topping up. And then when we went green for the second time with a safety car, I ended up coming in and refilling again, topping up, and that was enough to get me to the end. So I smashed my strat on the fly tonight, or the first time I've done it in my iRacing history of 11 years. So I thank myself for that.
Yeah, bloody hell, that was awesome. But yeah, what do you reckon? You may as well, I've got the inverted commas, you may as well say on media, so I may be able to get away with it. What do you reckon, mate? Do you reckon you'll hold second, or do you reckon you'll get elevated? Bit of a controversial question, but I don't know. Worth the ask.
Oh, for the incident? Oh, definitely a penalty. Because then I get the win. What else would I say?
There we go. Maybe congratulations for the win. But, will I get away with it? I'm not too sure, Hamish. I can just pass that over to you. But I just thought I'd ask it.
Oh, I mean, it's always important to ask. Now, there is a little bit of fishy banter going on in the chat. Troy. I mean, I was told last week it was Coleman's birthday. Obviously, I knew it wasn't.
Oh,
I've been
fell
told
for the
again that
trap.
I've been told again that it's your birthday, and I'm doubting that it actually is. But I thought I'd just let you know of the doings of Blake Delaney and Coleman at the moment in the chat. But I mean, even if you don't get the win, P2 is still pretty respectable. You'll still be leading the championship after tonight. I mean, that's still got to feel pretty good leading into round 3.
Yeah, it's exactly right, and it feels like a birthday to me. For the result I had tonight and what I've been going through all week is a good result for me tonight. So it's not a birthday, but I'll take it as a birthday.
I reckon we might need to actually ban the word "happy birthday" from all fishy drivers in the chat. I reckon.
I've been chanting that chant for at least 18 months. It just doesn't happen.
Oh well, we might as well keep you both in here as well. I mean, Michael, a little bit of a controversial end for you, mate. But first on track, it could be a win. It may not be a win. How are you feeling at the moment? Do you think maybe you might get, blasted by the stewards for that move, or do you reckon you may have gotten away with it?
Look, we'll see what happens. I sort of felt like I had overlap there and felt like he sort of turned in at the apex, but, I mean, we'll let race control do their thing. And if I get a penalty, I'll just cop it on the chin and we'll move on to next week. I wasn't really expecting to be that far up the field. I had an incident in turn 1 early. Got put to the back of the field. I just happened to pit at the right time and fill the car back up. And the field strategy played in my hands. So, look, we'll see what race control come up with. If we get a penalty, we'll just wear it and move on to next week.
All in all, Mike, it's Pete here, mate. You got to be happy with the team performance. You've worked well in quality to get the times down, and obviously, Fishy boys, you are renowned for fuel saving, and this race was, I think I called in the commentary that the Dice Cup was absolutely chockers. There was that many different combinations of top 10s or top 5s. But you would have to be happy with the team's performance because you've done pretty well. Late errors, but up until that point, it was an up and down weekend. But I think you can take a lot out of it. I'm pretty sure you'd take the same.
Yeah, look, we love driving these GTPs or the hypercars as they are called as well. I mean, every time we can get into an enduro, we jump in these things. So we've got plenty of time behind the wheel, driving not particularly the Cura, but the BMW and the previous makes that they ran in iRacing, and we absolutely love them. Credit to Blake and sort of teaching the ways of the fuel saving. I mean, none of us can do it as great as he can. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We just, sometimes it's worth rolling the dice and having a crack. I mean, tonight I just got lucky with the fuel strat. It was a bit more of an unfortunate incident that caused me to come into the pit lane, but I mean, it sort of played out in the end, so.
Well, we'll wait and see what happens, mate, but great race and good effort from the team, Hamish, wasn't it? But everyone deserves a good congrats tonight, and just have a sneaky beverage sneaky few beverages. It's Friday night, but everyone deserves it, I think. Everyone that entered tonight's race, I think, had a hard job, and some are happy, some are sad, but you's all the better than us. You's actually finished.
No, it's certainly not an easy track to drive at. The cornering speeds and passing speeds between the two categories is pretty high. It's not hard. You get a little tap, and the car goes around, or you carry a little bit too much speed in the corner, and the car will try and swap ends on you. So I mean, all the track list coming up for the calendar looks pretty promising. So it's all really high speed tracks, which suits these cars. So it should be good.
Yeah, it's going to be great to watch, isn't it, Hamish?
Good to have you back,
it's going to be awesome. Cheers, mate. Thanks everyone with the kind words. It's awesome. Didn't think I'd be back, but I am. But Hamish, what a great night of racing, and I'll just emphasise. I think I've said it a few times. Congrats to everyone. It was a tough night in the office for them.
Yeah, mate, you are 100% correct on that one. I mean, another great night of racing here for some multi-class madness out at Watkins Glen. Michael and Troy, a question for both of you. I mean, we saw on the cast, Blake had a couple of undoings, I guess you could say, unlucky undoings out at the bus stop. Were you boys in the Discord call with him at the time, and how was the temper handling it?
Blake doesn't. I don't think I've ever seen Blake lose his temper. He generally just sort of goes really quiet. But I mean, it's a bit of fun tonight. We don't drive these cars all that often. We drive them as often as we can, but our main focus is sort of supercars.
He mutes his mic, mate. I think that's why you can't hear anything. So
Well, that is very true.
He's just very lucky that every time he loses it up and he can't hear. Blake is a cool, calm character, but I reckon he's lost it a couple of times. But yeah, we get what you're saying.
The advantage to be on push to talk, I guess.
Yep, 100%.
But no, he's generally pretty cool, calm and collected.
Well, boys, I mean, a phenomenal finish for you. If it stands, it'll be a great 1-2 finish. If it doesn't, I think, Michael, I mean, you showed you have the pace regardless to get up there, and I'm sure there'll be possibly a win coming for you if this isn't a win for you here tonight. Also, as well, Troy, I'm making this decision now, but thinking about what kind of race you had, where you finished, I think you deserve our Tempting Sweets driver of the night, mate, because, you know, to struggle early on and then come back P2 on track, you know, I think you more than deserve it here tonight, mate.
Yeah, mate, I do appreciate it. Thanks, yeah, but my little spin, I think, helped me with my strat tonight and get me the position I did. Like, no one wants to spin, and I happened to spin it and got hit, and yeah, I had to change the strat on the fly and do something different, and it actually worked for me for tonight, so maybe I might have to do that next week, I think. No, not just kidding. I just need to put it on pole and go. I go.
A tactical spin, you reckon?
Yeah, oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I tell you, it wasn't technical. I'll tell you that. I was just like embarrassed. I went bright red and I got hit. And I just thought, oh, well, I'll just keep feeling up and see what happens towards the end. And it worked for me. So, you know, you get them and sometimes you don't get them. So, and tonight was the right call for myself. So, yeah.
Well deserved.
Like I said, I'll definitely take it, and let's hope it continues on. I highly doubt next week's going to be the opposite. I'm going to flop.
Oh, well, boys, you know, let us know who's giving you the support out there. I know there's about 4 different car dealerships in Parramatta that you've got to list off.
Good old McKnight.
Oh, yep. And then anyone else you boys want to give a shout out to as well, you guys get to do so.
You want me to do it, Troy? Or you going to do it?
You can do it, brother.
Mate, massive shout out to West End Motor Group. They've had our back from day one, so big shout out to those guys down there. DC Shades also right from the get-go as well. Infinity Designs, Battery Warehouse. I'm trying to think of the other one. I've missed one. Oh, no, maybe I have got them all.
I'm sure they'll forgive you. I think
you said Battery Warehouse, yeah?
He did, yeah. You took the easy route there. You didn't actually list all of those. You listed the overhead company, West End Motor Group. I was almost expecting every single car dealership out in the West End of Sydney there, but you caught me out on it.
It's a lot easier just to go with the parent company.
Yeah, they love their Isuzus. That's 100%
Correct.
sure out there at Parramatta.
That's the one.
Oh, boys, massive congratulations once again. As I said, if it stands, it's a great 1-2 finish. If it doesn't, it's a good win for you, Troy. But I'm sure Michael will be back up there at some other point if this doesn't, you know, regardless of tonight's results. I think, Michael, you could be in the hunt for a win at one of the tracks coming up this season. So congrats to both of you.
Cheers, mate. Hopefully talking to you boys later in the season.
Hopefully, mate. Thank you, boys.
Yep,
Cheers.
likewise. Cheers, boys. Thank you.
Well, Peter, another phenomenal night of racing here for the Warren and Brown Tools IMSA Shadow Series. I think, you know, a lot of these drivers, they proved that they're hungry for quality finishes, hungry for wins, and I think, you know, they were racing for sheep stations all up until the checkered flag flight, and you love to see it, regardless of penalties or not.
100%. We said at the top that it was going to be, or it is, the best pairing, you know, multi-class GT3 and GTP here at Watkins International. The full version, I'm definitely a pro full version, the boot layout. It threw up everything I think I expected and more, but the drivers out there, well, I tell you, it was a tough night for them because everything was up in the air until... Well, you look at the battle for, I think it was 4th and 5th in GTP, 0.005 of a second, right down to the wire. and hard to plan for races like these. And well, they just got to practice. And this series is going to be very promising, I think, because the calendar, as mentioned from the drivers, it looks to be a beauty from here on out.
Yeah, mate, I think you wrapped it up pretty perfectly there. Just a couple little things to remember as well, guys. If you are watching, be sure to hit the subscribe button and click the bell so you are notified anytime we go live with racing across the week. It is, I want to say, 5 nights of broadcasting. I'm pretty sure I got that correct. The Sunday night Supercars Pro-Am brought to you by SimRigs. The Tuesday night Supercars Amateur Series brought to you by SimRigs. The Wednesday night Shannon's Formula 3 Nationals. Thursday night Shannon's Toyota GR8 6 Nationals. And then the Friday night Warren & Brown Tools IMSA Shadows Series. All coming at you all across this season. There are 9 rounds in every single racing series that we produce here on the Sim Racing World TV channel. And, I mean, after seeing racing like this, the action we've already seen in the F3s and in the 8.6s, and as well the supercars, this is going to be an absolutely wild season ahead for SRW, so you do not want to miss out. And don't forget as well, if you are subscribed, when we hit 1,000 subscribers, we will be giving away a racing rig. And the caveat is you must be subscribed when the draw happens. Be sure as well to like the streams whenever you're on them. Get into the chat if you're watching us live, or get into the comments section if you're not, as any engagement we get helps grow the series, helps grow the spread that SRW has, and shows these series to more eyes out there. Massive thank you as well to all of our series sponsors as well. Simrigs.com.au, Tempting Sweets, Sim Magic, Grim Industries, Racecraft, Dragon RC, Promo Department, Warren & Brown Tools, Toyo Sim, Camus, DSL Welding, and there's another one as well, and I completely forgot what they were last week. I'll tell you what I'll do, actually. I'll bring up the sponsor logos, and because that'll actually tell me what it is, and we can just have a quick chat about it very quickly, Pete. But, I mean, next week we go to what is probably the European home of sports car racing in Le Mans. You know, it's going to be a very, very interesting race to see, especially being that it is only GTPs and GT3s out there.
And one thing we're going to see is a lot of prepared drivers, because that is for this class. Remember, this is the IMSA Shadow series, so these classes of cars are built for tracks like Le Mans. They're going to go there prepared, well prepared, even before you know, the schedule was called. They're prepared because they know what the track's going to throw up. Next week is going to be, I think, a class above of what we've already seen, only because every driver, or I would have to say majority of drivers that we've seen here tonight, have got a vast experience of doing 2-hour stints at Le Mans. So I expect really close, hard racing, and experience will pay next week, I think.
Yeah, mate. I think, yeah, if you, I mean, it is lucky, you know, Le Mans, you get a couple of breaks across the lap down both the straights, and then, I mean, it all kind of, you know, it comes at you very quickly as you go through the Porsche curves and then up through towards the end of the lap. But it's going to be very, very interesting to see for sure. It'll be interesting, though, if the field spreads out or if they actually stay contained. But all will be answered next time out for round number 3 out at Le Mans.
Oh, 100%. It's going to be great to watch.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this comes to the end of our broadcast here tonight. I have remembered what the other sponsor is. So thank you as well to our 2 new sponsors, DSL Rail Services and Neuropower as well. Great to have those guys on board for this series. I promise I will remember them the more I say them. And I won't even need the sponsor logos to remember who they are. But, you know, from myself, Hamish Munro, and my co-commentator here tonight, Peter Gretton, we thank you for your company. We thank you for joining us here out of round 2 for the WMB Tools IMSA Shadow Series here out at Watkins Glen. We'll see you next time for round number 3 out at Le Mans. But until then, we'll see you on Sunday night for the SimRigs Supercars Pro-Am live with Shibby, and I assume it's going to be Sinker once again. But until then, guys, bye for now.
Total on this is amazing. Going to clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert and Cam Waters. Almost the same situation. Better contact going down.